In the heart of a quiet town in Pennsylvania during the mid-1970s, a girl named Emily Reynolds grew up in a deeply religious household. Her parents, Robert and Diane Reynolds, were devout Catholics who upheld their faith with unwavering conviction. They lived in a modest two-story home on the outskirts of town with Emily and her younger sister Megan. From the outside, their life seemed peaceful and structured. Church on Sundays, home-cooked dinners every night, and family prayers before bed. But Emily was different. Even from a young age, she had shown signs of being more spiritually sensitive than other kids her age. She often told her parents about seeing dark shadows at night or hearing voices when no one was around. Robert and Diane dismissed these claims as vivid imagination, the kind many children have. But as Emily grew older, her experiences only intensified, not faded. By the time Emily was 16, she had become withdrawn and anxious. She suffered from terrifying nightmares and frequently mentioned seeing demonic faces on people around her. At school, her grades dropped, and she lost interest in her friends. Teachers noticed that she sometimes stared blankly into space, whispering to herself. Her parents became concerned and took her to a local psychiatrist, Dr. Lawrence Cooper, who diagnosed her with temporal lobe epilepsy and prescribed medication. While the medication initially seemed to help, Emily's condition worsened over time. She began speaking in strange, guttural voices, sometimes in languages she had never studied. Her family recalled an incident at dinner when she suddenly stood up, eyes rolled back, and screamed in what sounded like Latin. That same night, she clawed at her bedsheets and barked like a dog for hours, even tearing apart a rosary with her teeth. Her parents were terrified. Diane, deeply disturbed, turned to their parish priest, Father Thomas Brennan, for help. At first, he was reluctant, encouraging the family to continue psychiatric treatment. But after witnessing one of Emily's episodes firsthand, a chilling moment where she accurately recited full biblical verses in Greek and German, he reconsidered. Father Brennan contacted the diocese and requested permission to perform an exorcism. The request wasn't immediately granted. The church, cautious about such matters, required strong evidence before authorizing an exorcism. Several more weeks passed as documentation was compiled, and Emily's condition continued deteriorating. She refused to eat, claiming demons were controlling her body and preventing her from consuming food. She grew frail and skeletal, her once vibrant face now hollow and lifeless. Finally, after months of evaluation, the church approved the exorcism. 2 priests were assigned, Father Brennan and Father Michael Carter, a veteran clergyman with prior exorcism experience. They began their first session in September 1975. The ritual was conducted in secrecy at the Reynolds home. The priests, along with Robert and Diane, locked the doors and covered the windows. The sessions were intense and grueling, often lasting hours. Emily would scream, curse, and lash out violently, restrained by her father and Father Carter to prevent her from hurting herself or others. What frightened the family most was how Emily seemed to embody different personalities. She would claim to be multiple entities, some demonic, others historical. One voice called itself Judas, another claimed to be Nero. The voices were distinct in tone, pitch, and even accent. On several occasions, she broke free of her restraints with inhuman strength, once throwing a heavy wooden chair across the room with ease. Despite the horrifying scenes, there were also moments of clarity. Emily would sometimes return to her normal self, crying and begging her family to help her. She pleaded with them not to stop the exorcisms, claiming it was the only way to free her soul. These pleas haunted her parents, who struggled with the guilt of watching their daughter suffer. The exorcisms continued for 10 months. Over that time, Emily underwent more than 60 sessions. Each time, the priests prayed over her, read scripture, and used holy water. Her body bore the scars of the ordeal, bruises, scratches, and deep wounds from self-harm. The medical community condemned the family for not committing her to a hospital, but the Reynolds believed they were fighting a spiritual battle, not a medical one. In June 1976, Emily's condition deteriorated rapidly. She could no longer walk and was bedridden. Despite her weak state, she continued to speak in demonic voices. On one of the final nights, she whispered to her mother, "I'm afraid, but I'm ready to go." That morning, Emily Reynolds passed away at the age of 23. Her death sparked a national controversy. An autopsy revealed she had died from malnutrition and dehydration. The authorities charged her parents and both priests with negligent homicide. The trial that followed gripped the country. Experts on both sides testified. Medical professionals argued that Emily suffered from untreated mental illness, while religious figures insisted her symptoms were consistent with genuine demonic possession. Emily's recordings were played in court. Deep, unnatural voices issuing from a frail young woman, screaming obscenities and ancient phrases. Some jurors reportedly cried. Others turned away. The audio was considered one of the most chilling pieces of evidence ever submitted in a courtroom. In the end, the jury convicted the defendants of involuntary manslaughter. But due to the complex nature of the case and the defendants' clear intentions to help, the judge sentenced them to time served and probation. Public opinion was fiercely divided. Some saw them as criminals, others as victims of a spiritual war. In the years that followed, Emily's story continued to inspire debate, books, and films. Her case became one of the most documented and controversial exorcism cases in American history. Scholars dissected the psychological implications, while believers pointed to signs of true possession. Her childhood home was eventually abandoned by the family. Neighbors claimed the property was cursed. Several who bought the house later reported unexplained events, doors slamming on their own, strange whispering at night, and cold spots that lingered for hours. One owner even found scratch marks beneath the wooden floors in what used to be Emily's bedroom. No one stayed for long. Years later, a documentary crew was granted access to the Reynolds home. They spent 3 nights there, documenting their experiences. On the final night, one of the cameras captured a faint voice whispering Emily's name. The crew, visibly shaken, left the project incomplete. The footage was leaked online, where it quickly gained millions of views. The whispers were analyzed by audio experts, many of whom couldn't explain the origin. Emily's grave became a site of pilgrimage. People from across the country left letters, rosaries, and candles at her resting place. Some claimed to have visions after visiting. Others reported vivid dreams in which Emily warned them about dark forces lurking in the world. A few even said she told them the possession wasn't fully gone, that it had only moved on. Despite the passage of time, Emily Reynolds' story remained an unresolved and eerie chapter in American spiritual history. Her parents passed away in quiet solitude, never fully recovering from their daughter's ordeal. Father Brennan, after years of silence, gave a single interview before his death in which he said, "I've never doubted for a second that Emily fought a real demon. It wasn't just in her mind. I saw it. I felt it." Today, her story continues to raise questions about faith, medicine, and the limits of human understanding. Whether seen as a tragic tale of untreated mental illness or a terrifying confrontation with evil, Emily Reynolds' life and death left behind an unsettling legacy that continues to haunt those who dare to explore it. And in the quiet hours of the night, in a forgotten corner of Pennsylvania, the wind still carries whispers around that old house. Soft, almost like a prayer. Or perhaps a warning.